Part 1.5, Aftershock. I cover the feelings that I had left, starting from when my mom initially committed suicide up until this very day. A good strong feeling of abandonment and rejection. I know that maybe myself included amongst other preteens that it's very easy to feel rejection and abandonment, even by just your friends in school. So losing your mother to something that would be considered selfish, which to this day I don't really think it is now, but I used to think that it was a very selfish act, that she ditched me. I felt like I wasn't enough for her to want to stay. I didn't feel like she cared about me to try to give this world a shot, to remain here with me, and that hurt so bad. There was years of being angry at her and wondering why she would just leave me like that. I mean, she was my mom. Why would she leave her little girl here to fend for herself? And then there was the whole feeling of, what if I had done better in school? What if I'd cleaned my room more, helped with the chores? Maybe tried to not focus on my petty childhood woes and try to embrace her pain and try to maybe understand what she was going through a little better. And now I realize that obviously there was nothing I could do mostly in that situation. It wasn't so much what I wasn't doing or anything at all. So she could have had, everything and still have had the same outcome. But there's always going to be the what ifs, the minor what if for some people, but for me was the fact that when I left for my papa's and my grandmother's house, I didn't hug her or tell her that I loved her. I remember standing at the truck and thinking maybe I should run back and hug her and tell her that I love her, but I was like, she's still a little emotional. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I was over analytical even as a child, so I got in the truck and we left. And I watched her stand on the step as we drove down the road, and that I had no idea that was the last time I was going to see her. So you have no idea what kind of wealth I would give to be able to go back to that time and be able to hug her and tell her I love her, even if the outcome was the same. That's something I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. So if you walk away with this from anything, it's a cliche. Always tell somebody you love them today, because you never know if you're going to see them the next day or ever again. The other thing that I took away from it, and it took me years to realize this, is that I should have called 911 instead of calling my papa. Granted, at 13 and 14, you sometimes don't understand that emotional state that she's in and don't know that 911 is the right decision. But ever since then, if any of my friends are acting out, being dramatic, and they make such a like even hint at it, or if I feel like somebody is in truly danger of themselves, I will call the police. I've done it for people that I've been dating who were being a little dramatic, and they got very angry at me and never talked to me again. And also I've done it for my friends in the service, and one of them even told me that I saved his life because of that. So I never regret it. I don't care if you never talk to me again. I'm not taking a risk like that, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to reverse that action. So please, if anybody ever threatens to commit suicide, or you think they're going to do self-harm, or if you yourself feel like you are going to cause harm to yourself in any manner, phone a friend, call 911, do anything, because what you do is not reversible. Anyways, for a very long time, I had a lot of pent-up frustration, and I was angry at my mother, and I just blamed her. That's it. I didn't want to understand that she was suffering. I didn't understand that what she'd done was almost out of her actual conscious control. I just thought that she bailed on me, and she left all of us behind. Myself, my grandmother, my aunts, cousins. She just left everybody behind and didn't care. And because of that, because of everything that she had put, you know, herself through and put us through, with her attempt at suicide, her actual suicide, for a long time, I had a very hard time keeping people close to me. I would keep people distant. I wouldn't even, you know, consider letting them in close to me. I pushed them away. I would do anything to keep them off the grid for me. I didn't want to have feelings for somebody when I just knew that at some point they were going to bail or leave me. Maybe not kill themselves, but just ditch me and leave me behind and not care. And I didn't want that pain again. Even when I get close to people now, I always think of the worst. Like, what happens if something happens to them? What happens if they leave me? What if they break up with me? Or what if something happens to them in the car? Anything. Like, now I just overly worry about everything. I think about every little possibility and how to react to it. It's a terrible thing to have to go through, because you want to feel that connection with somebody. It's extremely hard to go through life without a mother figure. To have to consider that, you know, everybody else's mom's going to be there at their kid's prom and, you know, for their wedding and the birth of their first child. And she's never going to be there. She's going to miss all of it. But up until recently, I had these feelings of hate, regret, abandonment, rejection, and it was just something I couldn't deal with anymore. I would keep pushing them away and try to forget about it, or say that I've forgiven her, and then sometime later realized I had not. And another tragedy happened. It was a worldwide known thing that Robin Williams had committed suicide. Having gone through that with a personal family member, I felt a lot of grief for his family, and I felt a lot of grief for him. It was like an epiphany of sorts, that I hate that it happened to him, but that was the moment that I realized that it can happen to anybody. Robin Williams was a bright, vibrant man. He loved to make people laugh. He was just full of joy. And there's no way in the world that anybody would ever think that behind that happy, laughing person was this dark, scary place, you know. And it was then that I realized that, you know, if somebody like Robin Williams, who lights up theater and can make anybody's day, who's made millions and millions of people laugh, happy, can have that kind of depression and, you know, have thoughts of suicide and then actually committing suicide, it really opens your eyes to realize that it can happen to anybody. And it's not their fault. It's not selfish. It's not something they can help. They can go through it 1,000 times with therapy, and you know, you hope and pray that it does help people, and it does help a lot of people. And I am so grateful to hear when people are able to get a hold of it and actually control everything. But then at the same time, it helped me forgive my mom a lot. I understand it now. Yes, I still miss her till this day, and I will always regret never telling her that I loved her. Always miss her. But I have to understand that what she was going through was very difficult. And though I will never, ever condone suicide or ever say that what she did was okay, I can't hold it against her. Because my mom wasn't my mom when she was that person. She was that disorder. She wasn't... Sorry, I keep cutting out. when my mom went through those stages, she wasn't Jackie anymore. She wasn't my aunt's sister. She wasn't my mommy. She wasn't that strong, vicarious woman that everybody knew. And I forgive her, and I can't keep holding myself accountable, and my family can't keep holding themselves accountable because she couldn't help it. And those demons got the best of her. So if you take anything from this, just know that if you ever contemplate these feelings of self-harm, I hope you can realize that there is help out there, and there are options. And at the very least, if you can't find those options at that moment, call a friend, call a family member, or even call a suicide hotline, or at the very least 911, because somebody loves you. And it will destroy them every day of their life if you leave, and you will never be able to take that back. And I highly recommend hugging your loved ones as much as you can. If even just writing a mass post on Facebook and telling everybody that you love them, and letting the world know that you are there to listen. And if anybody ever needs an ear, sometimes that's all somebody needs. So that is my deal on Aftershock. I know it gives you some insight as to what this can do to the people left behind, and maybe if you're out there struggling trying to accept it, maybe this helps you some. Thank you.